You know, it really was a bit of a struggle to get over the line, but having got there, it's now down to what he does this evening. It's whoever can put a run of 3 wins together will be the champion. And Steve does know what it takes to win these European Tour events. He won one last year. So he has got more than a puncher's chance. Beautiful throw in action. Loads of experience. And he's won the bull as well. So Steve Beaton with the early advantage. What's he going to make of it? And the first 2 are both below the wire, so he comes down for treble 19 and finds it with his first dart. Gary Anderson hit 4 180s in his match against Justin Pipe earlier. It's like seeing the old Gary Anderson, the flying Scotsman renowned for smashing in the maximums. Wasn't so much like that during the Premier League this year. It was more about his finishing. He had the best finishing stats of anybody in the tournament. It's fair to say he's not flown out the blocks here against Steve Beaton.
This is better from Beaton. 2, can't quite make the third, but 135.
Well, 111 scored after 3 visits to the board for Gary Anderson. I wonder if Justin Pipe is watching this and thinking, where were those kind of darts against me, roommate?
Yes. Both players just taking a while in this first leg to really get up and running. But Beaton will look to make the advantage count of throwing first against an opponent of the calibre of Gary Anderson.
So 1 dart at tops for Steve Beaton. And there it is, first dart disappears. Steve Beaton holds his throw and takes a 1-0 lead.
This is better from Gary at the start of leg 2. It couldn't get any better. His first maximum of the match.
And the 180 cards are held aloft in the crowd. If Gary does get going, they'll be up and down all night.
Yes, he saw off the local favourite Dyson Parody in his second round match, did Gary, winning that 6-2. So he's only dropped the 3 legs, well 4 legs now with Beaton winning this one, but a good return so far in this tournament, and he'll look to keep up that sort of return and make it all the way to a second European Tour final of 2014.
He does have the edge in their head-to-head meetings as Gary Anderson. They met 12 times. Gary's won 8 of them. He's won the last 2 as well, 6-3 and 6-4 in the Championship League at the back end of last year, both on the same day actually. One of them in the group stage, one of them in the semi-finals. But it was only a couple of days before that that Steve Beaton managed to beat him 6-4 in the quarterfinals of a Players' Championship in Ireland. So they've both got pretty fresh memories of what it's like to get over the winning line against each other. 54. Just the 54 from Gary Anderson. And Steve Beaton, he only needed 1 dart at tops in the first leg. If he can find a treble and stay straight here, well, he's not stayed straight, and that means that he can't go out. So a missed opportunity for Steve Beaton, and he's not really helped himself by scoring 24 either, but Gary Anderson has a chance here to get his first leg on the board and tie things up. 1 apiece, but he doesn't. And suddenly that 24 for Steve Beaton looks incredibly frustrating for him. This could have been a lot easier.
Yes, he saw the slump of the shoulders as he walked to the board. He wants a double 8.
Oh, well, that wasn't far away, Steve Beaton. And Gary Anderson going all over the board at the minute, but he finds the double 5, and Gary Anderson levels things up at 1 apiece.
And that was a chance, a real good chance for Beaton to break the throw, but as it is, we are with throwing a great 1-7 for Steve at the start of leg 3.
Well, we saw A.D. Lewis go 7 darts into a perfect 9 darter. Russ Bray, the ref, he thought it was going to happen. Steve Beaton's not going to do one here. But with the way that A.D. Lewis has been playing, the way that Gary Anderson played this afternoon, if he can recapture that form, Michael Smith, Kim Hybrex, James Wade, all of these guys very capable of producing a perfect leg of darts here in Gibraltar. Will we see one this weekend?
So won't be an outshot from 169 for Beaton, but he will have some time with a very poor visit from Gary Anderson, who has a little smile to himself. But Steve will look to mop up and come back for double 18.
Yeah, fantastic setup shot for Steve Beaton there. It's a double 18 he wants. For a 2-1 lead. There it is, 13 dart leg. Very tidy stuff, Steve Beaton. The bronze Adonis.
Yeah, I mean, he's been winning tournaments for the best part of 25 years or more. World champion at Lakeside in 1996. And won that European Tour event in Sindelfingen, Germany just last year. So he still can do it. What is it they say? Form is temporary, class is permanent.
Yeah, and he's a classy dart player, is Steve Beaton. Looking pretty distinctive with that. Doesn't have the mullet anymore that he had back in those days.
The mullet and the perm have long gone, sadly.
Yeah, it's a shock of white hair against that increasingly brown skin he's got from a weekend in Gibraltar. On the Steve Beaton colour chart, it's somewhere between rotisserie chicken and creosote as he fills it up. It's a 180 for Steve Beaton. And Gary Anderson's looking to hit straight back. Quick look at the score. Well, if he was aware of what he'd been on, it perhaps would have had a better chance of hitting it.
Definitely.
For such a rhythm player. Steve Beaton looking to set this up perfectly well. A ton 40 would have left him tops. As it is, he'll come back for 80 if Gary Anderson doesn't take out, and he's not going to. Not going to take out the 117, so Steve Beaton may get a dart at double top. It's going to be at double 10, and he's got 2 in his hand. Miss inside double 5. Oh!
That was a whisker away, and another chance you feel may be squandered. Oh, but he lives to fight another day, does Beaton, for a break of throw then. In this 4th leg, double 5.
Down for double 2. 2 more darts go begging, and Gary Anderson wants double top. Down for double 10. Oh, they're both messing around in this leg. And I think that may have caught the flight. I don't know. I didn't see if Gary had moved across the oche to open up that bed. But Steve Beaton's in the madhouse. But double 1. If you hit it, it's as good as 170. It's still 1 leg, and it's a break of throw, an important moment in this match.
Yeah, it's a scrappy old finish to it. But it's Beaton with the advantage now, and an awkward bounce out right at the start of the leg. Not what you need on your throw.
How unlucky is that? One of them bounces out possibly the treble 20. The other one slides the wrong side of the door in the treble 20 into the treble 5. That's a great dart for Steve Beaton. Should be able to put another one in there. Doesn't do so. I'll be a little bit disappointed with that.
And I think that scrappy last leg seems to have just taken it out of them. That's a ton now, though. Better from Beaton. And those that have made their way in from the sunshine are being rewarded with some top-class arrows on this Sunday night in Gibraltar. We've
already seen a 2-time world finalist go through. We've got a world finalist and a former world champion battling out here. A two-time world champion in Adrian Lewis against a world youth champion Michael Smith. And then James Wade, a 7-time major winner, against Kim Huybrechts, Belgium's top player, and a guy who knows what it's like to win on this European tour. We perhaps haven't seen the best of him at some of the majors. He did make the final of the Players' Championships, Kim Huybrechts, of course. He lost to a rampant Phil Taylor. So 164. This is massive, and it could go, you know. Oh, he needed the treble 18. But he set it up brilliantly, and Steve Beaton, there's pressure on this 72. Which way is he going to go? Well, 12 for tops. No, staying on the 20s for double 16. It would have been for a 4-1 lead, and suddenly Gary Anderson can break back. Well, that's the problem. He left himself 26, and so he's only got himself 2 dots at a double when he should have had 3. And
well, double 8 for a 4-1 lead. That lie looks awkward, and that makes it even worse. He's having to move along the oche to try and sneak it in, and he does so. The Adonis showing that class, and now 4-1 up against the number 2 seed here.
Well, Steve will certainly not be feeling like he's got this game won, because he was 4-1 up against Johnny Haynes in the 3rd round, and the punk came rollicking back at him, and in the end Steve had to rely on him missing match darts. Maybe that little wake-up call he got in that 3rd round match, maybe that'll help him stay focused so he can close this one out, although that's a bit of a ropey old visit.
And Anderson's going to try and pile in here, and he has a ton 40. But it would just be a hold of throw for Anderson, even if he were to win this leg.
Yeah, well, he's got to win 5 out of the next 6 legs. As, or 5 out of the next 7, I should say. As Gary Anderson, and he can certainly do it. But he has to, you would think, produce the kind of form that we saw when he played Justin Pipe earlier in the day. He's not been playing quite as well as that in this one so far. He'll come back with 2 darts at double top, you would think, Gary. Is Steve Beaton going to be ready to pounce? Not so much.
So double top to reduce the arrears to 4-2. And the man who's normally pretty lethal on the double top hits it. And Beaton now just needs to hold his nerve and know that if he holds his throat, he'll be home and hosed and through to the last 4 here.
Well, Beaton started off with a couple of troubles, but Gary Anderson gets 3. That's his 2nd maximum of the match, Gary Anderson. Oh, and here we go. Oh, Steve Beaton so close to replying with a maximum of his own. Gary Anderson, can he carry it on? He can't. They're both below the wire, I think. He's stubbornly staying on there. Not sure if it's the right decision. I mean, who am I to argue with a former Premier League champion?
Beaton likewise just falling a bit under the desired target, but he is down to a 167. Good thinking with that last start to leave him on a finish. The Adonis.
Well, he's put 3 over the top of the wire there, Gary Anderson. 3 beneath and then 3 up. Wow, look at this. Well, no, he's just staying there. Good thinking from Steve Beaton. He didn't need to go the ball route. Gary's on 201. I think he's just checking to see if it's in. I think it's 120 off, so he just wants... Yeah, the 15 leaves him double 16. And this would be for a potential 13 dart leg. And Gary Anderson, despite hitting that maximum earlier in the leg, well, it looks like he may not get anything out of this one. And Steve Beaton set to go within a leg of the semi-finals. And a game against Simon Whitlock. Double 16 is what he wants, so double 8.
24. Well, those darts were all pretty wayward of the intended target, but he will be back to go within one leg of victory, needing double four.
Adonis addresses the board. He misses inside. Oh, he's back in the madhouse again. He's hit it once already. He hits it this time. And Steve Beaton, 5-2 now. And Gary Anderson has got to win all 4 of the remaining legs if his hopes of winning the Gibraltar Darts Trophy are to stay alive.
And he only kicks off with 60. And Beaton bangs in a ton 40.
More like it from Gary Anderson there. Rosberg just checking that there were 2 in the treble bed. There were.
The remaining 2 quarterfinals to come: Adrian Lewis against Michael Smith, Kim Huybrechts versus James Wade. The winner of those 2 will play in the second semi-final before we have around about a 15-minute break before tonight's final of the the Gibraltar Darts Trophy. We are back in Germany in a couple of weeks' time. Dusseldorf, the venue, for event number 6 on the European Tour.
Gary Anderson here looking for a maximum. Has to settle for a 140. Yeah, this is event number 5. We've had 4 events already, 4 different winners. If Steve Beaton does close this game out, it will be a 5th different winner in 5 events. This is not just a cakewalk for the big names in darts. He's hit the ball there, so 41 left. Tops he wants for 91. Just a little pause from Gary there, but in comes the dart and it's low, and Steve Beaton, is he going to give himself a match dart here?
Well, he's not going to do it now. He'll just look to try and tidy up. That's frustrating for Beaton. And double 10 for Anderson to stay alive in this competition. But Beaton does have the throw now in this 9th leg. So he can close the game out. And will look to do so as quickly as possible, having been pushed all the way by Gary Haynes earlier this afternoon.
47. Well, 47 for Gary Anderson means that Steve Beaton can really punish him. Can really punish him here. And punish him he does. It's 180. Steve Beaton's 2nd maximum of the match to go with a 177. He hit in the 3rd leg. And it looks for all the world. Oh, Gary.
How's your luck?
Quite. I think that was 60 on the floor. You don't want that at the best of times, let alone in a leg that you have to win to stay in the match. And Steve's not left himself on a finish. Gary, all he can do is put a big dent in this. He won't leave himself a finish. Steve Beaton's got at least 6 darts, at least from here. And it may be more. We may need him if he throws like that.
Is there a breeze on stage all of a sudden? Drifting into the treble 5s.
Needs to find another treble, Gary. Needs to. Doesn't. So Steve's got 6 darts from here. Now, he'll probably go treble 20 rather than starting on the 18s. He didn't need to go the bull route. So 61 off, leaves him 67. Steve Beaton will return, needing to polish off 50. But it looks like Gary Anderson's going to be sat on a double himself, and he certainly is. Just stay higher, those 2. Yeah, stayed very higher, those 2. Didn't want to bust it. Steve Beaton's going to get 2 match darts here. Is it going to be 18 for double 16? No, it's 10 for tops. It's a decent marker. 2 match darts have gone missing. Beaton. Oh, Beaton was waiting. Beaton was waiting, but Gary Anderson takes it out. Last dart. And suddenly, he is throwing to level the match and take it to a deciding leg. Steve Beaton had 2 darts at double top to win the match, to book his place in the semi-finals. Can he put that behind him and move on? This is a free rein to attack the Gary Anderson throw and end it right here, right now. It's on 40. Puts him in a very strong position after Gary Anderson's opening 45.
Here comes Ando with another 1080. His third of the match. And we saw Beaton take a 4-1 lead against Johnny Haynes as he looks, there's 60 on the floor. Yeah, 4-1 up against Johnny Haynes and eventually winning it 6-5, but had to draw on all his resources, all his experience to crawl over the line in that one. And he's got a game on his hands now against Anderson, just 36.
Gary Anderson is looking to win his third leg in a row. If he were to do it, well, if he were to do it, and it's no gimme now, then he would have some momentum going into the final leg. One that Steve Beaton would have the throw on, it has to be said. 25 off, 180 left. Oh, that hasn't really helped him. Steve Beaton not happy with himself. Can Gary Anderson take this all the way to a decider? He needs double top for 112 checkout. Well, Dyson Parody did this against Gary Anderson in the second round, 160. It was not quite the same context of the match, and Steve Beaton isn't going to do it.
Still that drifting into the fives by Beaton, but he suffered from the last couple of legs. Double 10 then to take us to an 11th leg decider.
Well, in the last leg, Gary Anderson needed 40, he missed the 20, he missed the 10, and he hit the 5 of the last dart. He's not managed to do it just now, and Steve Beaton, is he going to get another match start? Well, 19 for ball. Oh, he's missed the big number twice. Steve Beaton cannot believe what he's done. Well, for a man with so much experience, it's almost unbelievable that he would do that. Can Gary Anderson take it all the way now? Well, he can. We're going to a decider, and is Steve Beaton, was he put off? Was he too busy concentrating on the deciding leg? Is he trying to summon up his resources for that? Or was it just laziness, carelessness?
Well, the pressure. And kicking off with 139. But he survived in that 11-leg epic this afternoon against Johnny Haynes, did Steve Beaton. He's got to try and do it again. Gary Anderson making much easier work of Justin Pipe in his third round match this afternoon, a 6-1 victor.
This is Steve Beaton's match to lose. He's already missed 2 match starts. He should have had more in the previous leg. But he has started off brilliantly in this. 3 visits to the board, all 3 of them he's hit 2 trebles. He's on a potential 11 darter. Gary Anderson is trying to apply pressure here. Well, he's left to finish, but Steve Beaton wants 82.
Wanted the ball for 32. So he wants double top for the match, misses it. Another match start goes begging. Oh, well, Beaton will be back for double 10 to book his place in the semi-final against Simon Whitlock, and he does it. Steve Beaton knocks out the number 2 seed, and the Adonis marches on. He'll take on Simon Whitlock in our first semi-final.